All right, hey everybody. Wanted to do this quick video on $1 million strategy of it's based on Matthew 25 that talks about the king that left his servants with talents and then he returned, they multiplied it, and what the king confessed to them or the declaration that he made over their life was because you were faithful with small or because you were faithful with little, I'll make you ruler over much. That is a kingdom principle that exists in the earth. If you can be faithful with a small amount, you are able to multiply in larger amounts. And so this whole concept is based on being faithful with the small. I'm going to share something with you here. We're going to talk about a small amount. And we know, you see us trade every morning, and I want you to get excited about the small amount. I'm going to put this figure up here. So here you have $500 on a daily basis. How easy is it to make $500? Well, many of us that have been trading together for a while would say that, Tim, it's real easy to make $500. And I would agree. That's effortless. You risk 500, make 500, or risk 200, make 500. We could do that day in and day out. You could do it every day. Even if you don't do it every day, even if say one day you lose 200 or you make 100, when you average it out over your entire trading week, it probably averages out to 500. Some days you're going to make 1,000, some days you may lose 300, but you can make 500. What that does, that's a very small amount, but what that does is if you multiply that over 5 trading days, that's $2,500 a week. If you multiply that over 4 weeks, that's $10,000 a month. If you multiply that over 12 months, that's $120,000 a year. Majority of us, $120,000 a year is enough to replace our existing expenses in our house. That's enough, one account. And so I want you to gear in your mind, really grabs being hold of this concept of, okay, $500 in my funded account, that is enough. That one account is enough to take care of my household. And, that's it. Be faithful with just that concept. And so you learning, you back testing, you honing your skill is only so that you can get to a point where you're passing challenges so that you can get one account so that you can manage the little. And so think of it as a gate. God told Cain, he said, Cain was distraught because God didn't accept his offering. He told Cain, he says, if you do well, you will be approved. I want you to think of it in that term. You don't have to get upset about failing challenges and different things. If you do well, the gates will open to you. You will be able to pass a challenge. You will be able to walk through those prop firm spaces and have a funded account. Once you get the funded account, the goal isn't to make a whole lot of money with it. You don't need to make a $5,000 day, $10,000 day. You really don't even need to make $1,000 day. You can just manage the little that you have. Just $500 a day. Consistently do that day in and day out. A small target. It could be 100, 200, 300, whatever you can replicate over and over again. That's the amount that I want you to focus on. Focus on that amount. Whatever you're able to replicate over and over again, I want you to focus on that amount. But what happens is that if you do well with that account, the gates open for you. Just imagine the master, God himself, coming to you and say, hey, you've been faithful with this small amount. I'm going to make you ruler over much. And watch what happens with the much when much comes into play. This is actually my actual workbook that I keep track of stuff. I'm going to unhide some columns here. And I want you to see what happens when you are able to manage little. I just want you to see what happens when you're able to manage the little. And I'm going to take, I'll leave that on. So managing a little, let's talk about it. All right, so you were faithful with the small thing, the $500, $2,500 a week turns into 10,000 a month, 120,000. That's just $500 a day. That's all I want you to focus on. The goal for when you're managing $500 a day, and let me find the right, yeah, I'll do this one. The goal when you're managing $500 a day is not to change anything. Continue to manage the $500 a day. But there is a concept of trade copying. And what happens is, if you're faithful over the one account, add another account. And your goal over the year is to get grow 10 accounts. It's not a dollar amount because you're just managing the $500. The goal is to add 10 accounts per year, right? And so it may take you a little bit to add the first account. Then once the first account is there, then you add the second account and the third account and the fourth account. And by the end of the year, you have 10 accounts. But if they're each just doing what the one account does, just the $500 a month, you can see how it's able to scale. So it turns into, just say over the year, you have all 10 accounts doing $500 a day. Excuse me, $500 a day. You have 10 accounts doing $500 a day. That's $5,000 a day. Effortless. You're not swinging for the fences. You're not making big moves. It's just a small incremental move. That's $25,000 a week. That's $100,000 a month. That's $1.2 million a year. And that's just managing the little. You're just trading this one account and you're multiplying it by copying this one account over 9 accounts. You're not adding any more effort. You're not doing a whole lot more. You're just managing the little. It approves you for the next dimension. And then the second year, you do the same thing. You don't change that $500. That second year, you're managing the little, right? And so that second year, you add 500 more. Or, excuse me, not 500 more. It's the same 500, but you add another 10 accounts in that year. And that will produce another $1.2 million in that year, right? And so that you're at $2.4 million just by managing the little. It's not adding a lot. It's not doing a lot. It's not changing your strategy. It's not swinging for the fences. It's just that small incremental amount that is being multiplied over several accounts, right? And so when you look at this as a business model, you have to calculate what is it going to take to get to my 10 accounts in 1 year. And when you look at this, I'm going to scroll down. This is the cost to obtain the 10 accounts, because every business has maintenance costs. Every business is going to have some kind of maintenance cost of what it costs to maintain that 10. Because once you get that first account, you may blow it. Anything could happen. You shouldn't, but you can. But you got to prepare for that. So this is what I do. So that first account, you get that first account. And so I just have a budget of $50 for the first account. But then the reset allowance, let's say I fail that account. How many times will I fail one account before I get it? I give myself 5 tries. I'm saying 5 times I'm going to fail the account, and say I have to reset it $35 each time. That's $175 that I have to have allocated for that account. Let's say it takes me 2 months to pass the challenge. That means that I got to pay $35 for that account every month. So I have to set aside $175 plus $35 plus another $35 for the second month. And then once I get the account, I got to pay the paid account fee. That's $85 for a lifetime. So what that means is I have to have set aside $380 to maintain the life of this account. $380. So that means that if I'm going to have 10 accounts in a year, that I have to set aside $3,800 to maintain all 10 accounts, to make sure that no level falls out. And if a level does fall out, that I have the cash to replenish it or to replace it so that it can continue to produce for me. the second year as well. So to make $1 million, over $1 million, it's probably going to cost me $3,800. I already accounted that I may fail each challenge 5 times, which means over 10, that's 50 challenges that I failed, right? That's 50 resets that I've done. But it's for to produce the revenue that these 10 accounts can produce, and to maintain each level maintaining throughout the year. It's going to cost you $3,800. And then the second 10 is still going to cost you $3,800. So altogether, to produce 2.4 million, I've invested $7,600, and I failed 100 challenges. I failed 100 challenges, which cost me $1,750. I reset the accounts 100 times, which cost me $3,500 to reset the account 100 times. And then I paid these fees over and over again. I've paid out $7,600 to produce $2.4 million. That's the business model that we're going after. And so if you count the cost, is that worth it? That first account, let's go back here, that first account is producing $120,000 a year, just $500 a day. And so you may say, well, I make $15,000 a day in one account. That's great, but do you have to? Can you do that consistently over and over and over again? Well, $15,000, I probably won't without blowing the account. But $500, I can do that consistently over and over and over and over again. What happens is I initiate the kingdom principle of, because I did well, I am now accepted into this new dimension of wealth because I did well. And God can say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over little. Now I can make you ruler over much. Enter into the joy of the Lord. And I want to enter in. And so I got to manage this. And so what the trade copier does is it mimics what I've done with the account that I've been faithful over. It mimics and copies my faithfulness. So $500 a day, I can do that day in and day out. I can do that without blinking an eye. It becomes easy. Develop your skill to where $500 a day becomes easy to you, right? When it becomes easy to you, multiplication kicks in. I multiply that over and over and over again with the trade copier over accounts. 10 accounts the first year is the goal. 10 more accounts the second year is the goal. You can see here for me, I am looking to maintain, I'm almost here, looking to maintain this by the December 25th, by Christmas, so that I can, for 2025, I can produce $1.2 million for 2025 in these 10 accounts. And then 2025, I'll be working challenges to add 10 more accounts, but my effort is not increasing. Then I'll have 22.4 million, maximize Apex. And then 2026, I'll add in other prop firms, maximize them out as well. And then taking proceeds from this and adding to the personal accounts, doing the same model with the personal accounts. And so that we can build and create these funds. All right, so that's when Apex announced that they are that they're promoting their trade copier. This is the reason why, because you're only copying your faithfulness. If you're able to be faithful with just a little, you can multiply that over much and become a multi-millionaire. All right, let me know if this has added any value. Appreciate you. Make sure that you give me feedback on this, and let's talk later.